Right, so one of the questions I get a lot from Fit Pros is they really struggle a lot with clients with squatting. So first of all, they have clients with really bad squatting techniques and they struggle trying to get depth into their client squats. So I wanted to address this because I've noticed working with clients myself that you get a few really common problems. So I'm going to go through 3 really common problems that I've come across on a regular basis and that I found have been a relatively easy fix for squat depth. We all know squats are great exercise and it's beneficial to lots of different goals. So we want our clients to squat well. So I want to take you through barrier number 1. Now barrier number 1 is dorsiflexion. So a lot of clients I've noticed have very tight posterior lower legs. Okay, so a lot of those muscles through there are very, very stiff and prevent dorsiflexion. So dorsiflexion, what I'm talking about here is the shortening of this ankle. Okay, so the toes coming towards the shins or the shins going toward the toes. Okay, so we're really looking at this movement. Okay, so we're looking at a closed chain movement. The knee needs to go forward over the toes. Now to get into a deep squat position, okay, I need to be able to do that. So you can see down here, okay, my knees are quite far forward over my toes. Now that doesn't mean that that's necessarily dangerous. Okay, we need to be able to do that, and if we've got good enough range of motion and flexibility, we should be able to do that. So if you suspect that that might be something that's holding back your client's squat, well then you can try and test it out. And a really simple test to look how good someone's dorsiflexion is to use a wall or something solid to test their range of motion. So if I was to use something as an example, try and get this up in so you can roughly see my feet. Now what I want to do is start with their feet a couple of inches away from the wall, and then you're going to reach their knee towards something solid. Okay? So you're testing to see how far they can get their foot back away from the wall and still make contact. Okay, now if they've got good range of motion, that will usually be about 3 or 4 inches. Okay? If they've got really poor range of motion, then you might see a little bit of cheating going on. So you might see that as they push their knee forward toward the wall, their heel starts to lift up toward the wall as well. So watch out for that. So that can be a really simple way of discovering whether or not your client has dorsiflexion issues. In which case, you need to work on flexibility within the calf and the soleus, perhaps on the underside of the foot. Okay, so that whole posterior chain of the lower limb. So number 2, another one that's a really common problem is hamstring flexibility. So again, linked to posterior chain leg. But as we squat, okay, if we want to keep good technique, we need to try and create a bit of a posterior pelvic tilt. So a posterior pelvic tilt is going this way, okay, creating a bit of extension through the lumbar spine. Now, if you've got really tight hamstrings, okay, that's a real difficulty because you can't get that length, okay, through the hamstrings to create that posterior pelvic tilt. And if I'm going to maintain a good back position all the way down to the squat, I need to get that posterior pelvic tilt. Otherwise, I'm going to be anteriorly tilted and I'm going to squat like this, okay, which you can see straight away, my back's stuck in flexion, it's a lot more rounded, and it doesn't deal with load as well in that position. So if you're squatting with additional weight, then you're going to be putting extra strain on the lower back. So hamstring flexibility then is an issue that you need to try and work on and overcome. Okay. Third one that I'm going to look at as well is also the ability to extend their thoracic spine. So your thoracic spine is this area through here. Okay. Now if this is really restricted by an upper cross syndrome kind of posture where their shoulders are forwards and protracted, their chest muscles and abdominal muscles are very tight, then it's going to be really difficult for them to get extension into their thoracic spine. So they need to be able to get their shoulders back and their chest up, okay, so they can get into a good squat position at the bottom of the squat. So if you've got someone who is very tight through thoracic and they're squatting in this kind of shape, then you can see that it's very difficult for them to get that extend position that they need in the squat. Okay, so they're maintaining thoracic extension. So then you know that that's also an issue they need to work on. They need to create some more mobility through the shoulder girdle and through the thoracic spine to get that thoracic extension. Okay, so 3 things to look out for there. And if you want any more tips on how you can help with those issues and overcome those barriers, then do contact me on my Facebook and Twitter, and I should be more than happy to help.